All right, we are live, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got a lot of interesting things to talk about today. And of course, the Democrats being up to their own usual tricks. And they're fighting the reality that this is the United States of America. Let me ask you a question. And if you haven't already, please bless me by hitting the thumbs up. Share this video. Please share this video. Let me ask you a question. The Democrat Party. And is there anybody wondering why I refer to them as the Democrat Party? And I do have the comments up over here. And I really want to know, is there anyone wondering? You can put in the comments, yeah, well, I don't understand why you call them the Democrat Party. By all means, leave me a comment, because I do look at the comments. I have a monitor right here. I have a monitor where I look at that, and I pay attention to what people are saying. Not too much, because, I got to do the show here. So if you would, please leave me a comment. Hit the thumbs up if you would, please. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, the reason why, for those of you that, if you're watching this on the replay, because I'm currently live, it is March 20th, 2025. And I still have I almost still want to say 2024, because it's like just so much is happening. Okay. I am cold. I am really cold right now. And the air is not even on. It's cold here in Texas. Maybe that's what it is. I'm guessing that's what it is.
It's so unusual that we're cold today.
Because
I'm cold too. I'm not normally cold.
The country's on fire. We got our country back. We're getting our country back, which is a beautiful thing to see happen. And I'm so excited to see it happening. But to go back to what I was just sitting there saying, the Democrat Party, the reason why I call them the Democrat Party, for those of you that don't know, is because they support everything evil under the sun. And if you can tell me one thing that is evil that the Democrats don't support, by all means, let me know. You can always send me a message. You can always send me an email even. I would really like to know why do you think the Democrat Party, name one thing that the Democrat Party does that's not evil, or something that's not evil or something that is evil that the Democrat parties don't participate in or even support. Okay, but let me move on. So and the reason why I call them evil is because you had these hardcore criminals, which we've all been talking about in the news. President Trump, his administration took these people that are not American citizens, put them on an airplane, flew them. He gathered them around the country. Now think about this. This took a little time to take place. You understand what I'm saying? So ICE was going around, rounding up these hardcore criminals, and they were detaining all of them. And then they took them to Texas, and then they put them on a plane in Texas and flew them out the country. Now, you remember, was it last week or the week before, President Trump's administration actually flew some of these hardcore criminals to Guantanamo Bay. You remember that, Shannon? They flew some of them to Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Were there any judges to step up and say, oh, my goodness, no, you can't send these hardcore criminals to Guantanamo Bay? How dare you? I don't recall a single lawsuit. Think about that. Why not? What is it about Guantanamo Bay that the Democrats don't have a problem with President Trump sending people to? I'm just kind of curious. I don't know the answer to that. But it's kind of interesting. This is interesting because when President Trump rounded this last batch up, he didn't send them to Guantanamo Bay. He sent them to Venezuela. And the airplane, again, it takes time to round all these people up. And then once you get all these people together, he brought them down to Texas, and then he was flying them out of Texas. Now, they're on their way out of the country. They've already left the country. And to my understanding, they were almost about to land in Venezuela. I don't know exactly the coordinates where they were, but we're told that they were out of the U.S. airspace. They were on their way. They're gone, right? Somebody went and ran to this liberal judge, because there's no way that this liberal judge had any idea what President Trump's administration was doing. Now, I've constantly brought this up. And I'm still asking this because people are not asking that question. Who told the judge to do this? Who ran to the judge? One person yesterday said AOC, which, could possibly be. But somebody that has an inside track of what President Trump's administration is doing by rounding up these hardcore criminals and deporting them, somebody is telling it to somebody else. If you ask me, President Trump's administration has a mole. There's somebody snitching about them getting rid of these hardcore criminals. And I don't even know why. That's not even really snitching. That's just them trying to undermine President Trump from protecting and defending this country. So nonetheless, they run to this judge, and the judge, he does an oral order to the executive branch of the federal government, telling them that those criminals that you have on the plane, you're going to have to bring them back. And President Trump's administration said, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to just drop them off. If you want to bring them back, you go get them. I like that. You want them, you go get them. Whoever it was that ran to the judge, you want them, you go get them. And then whoever that is, and you go get them, I say you don't allow them into the country because they're not American citizens. You need to come in the right way. You understand? And I like the idea of, I think, because you remember when Joe Biden, when he was bringing these people into the country unlawfully, and they were all walking across the border and everyone down there was recording it. The cameras were getting all of it. And they were like, well, how can we stop all the cameras from getting this footage of the people coming across the border? And I know, we'll just fly them into the country. So I'm going to put this out there. This is a MO to President Trump, a memo. President Trump and your administration, instead of taking them down to Texas, flying them out, and I think they flew out about like 2:30 p.m. That's pretty much in the afternoon. Instead of flying them out at 2:30 p.m., do the same thing the Biden administration did. What was he doing? They were bringing the people into the country and they were flying them to Florida and other states in the dead of night. So these hardcore criminals do it in the dead of night while everybody's sleeping. And then when the Democrats get wind of it, it'll be entirely too late. Entirely too late. Don't even give them the opportunity to find out. And you need to nip it in the bud, whoever the mole is. I'm sick of this. President Trump should have every right to take these hardcore criminals and deport them out of the country. But who's fighting for them? The hardcore criminals, the Democrats. The Democrats would rather fight for these people that should not be in the country than they would the American people. I've asked this question yesterday. How many things have the Democrat Party done for the American people? No one has still come with an answer other than nothing. Absolutely nothing. I guess they can say they created chaos, but no one wants that. Animosity, no one wants that, except for the Democrat Party. But what have they done has been positive. Well, listen to Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan goes on to the Communist News Network, and he's having a conversation about this judge that basically went rogue, made the decision that he has more authority than the president of the United States. Listen to this.
Do you believe, as President Trump does, that Judge Boasberg should be impeached?
Well, normally, as Chief Justice Roberts pointed out, the remedy for bad decisions is the appellate court. But it seems to me you may have something a little different here. This judge's decision was so ridiculous, it seems to be political. And then when you add to it the history of Judge Boasberg, his work with the FISA court, back in the whole Trump-Russia baloney, that whole, fake collusion thing that they talked about, the Democrats talked about forever. And then, of course, his sentencing of Kevin Kleinsmith, the guy who lied to the FISA court, altered a document back during that same time frame. I think you might have here a judge who's acting in a political fashion. That is a different question. And so for us Republicans, and I think folks on the Judiciary Committee, all options are still on the table. We're going to do some research. We're going to dig into this, and we're going to find out. And then I think when you really step back, Casey, and look at how stupid the decision was by this judge. I mean, he basically said, he did say, turn the plane around, bring back gang members, hardened criminals who've done all kinds of bad things, who are here illegally, turn the plane around and bring those bad guys back to the country. I think just on its face, this is ridiculous. And so it sure looks like the judge is acting in a political fashion.
I completely understand the argument that people are making about whether the planes whether these people should have been deported or not. I want to get a little bit more clarity on what you're saying. What specifically has Judge Boasberg done that you believe is an impeachable offense under the constitutional description of high crimes and misdemeanors?
Let me stop that really quick. What did they impeach President Trump for? What did they impeach him for? They impeached President Trump on hearsay. The first time, remember, President Trump made a phone call asking questions, and then you had Adam Pencil-Neck Schiff reading the transcript. And then while he was reading the transcript, after the fact, come to find out he was lying about what was in the transcript, and he said he did a parody on that. Y'all remember that? You remember that? So then they still proceeded with it, and they impeached President Trump on hearsay. There was actually never any evidence of it, but they were able to do it in the House because the Democrats controlled the House. They had the votes. Same thing with the second impeachment. Same thing. The second one, because look what President Trump did on J6. Look what he did. Oh, my goodness. And that was a bunch of BS, too. Both of them failed in the Senate because there was nothing there. They knew there was nothing there. But this judge, overreaching, actually preventing President Trump from protecting the American people, really? This judge is an activist judge. He's not here for the American people. Listen.
All I'm saying is if you're acting in a political fashion and not just, following the law, ruling on the law, and I would argue that, frankly, just his ruling in and of itself, remember, the Constitution is pretty clear. Article 2, Section 1, very first sentence says, power in the executive branch shall be vested in a president of the United States. The president has the authority here. Second, he followed the statute.
Isn't there a major body of law that shows that he would probably be likely to win?
Predatory incursion. And that's he followed the statute. And then third, the president told the country he was going to do this. It's not like it's a surprise to anyone, let alone this judge. He campaigned on it and said he was going to do it. So I think when you put all that together, that's what makes this decision look so political on the part of Judge Boasberg.
But Mr. Chairman, and we actually showed how many times the president said exactly that he would use this law when he was on the campaign trail. We showed our viewers some of that yesterday. So I do take that point. But given all these arguments, if you think that this is, and there is an enormous body of law out there, some of it built during the Bush administration, which I know, you were here in Washington during.
Now, y'all listen to this carefully, because she's going to straight up admit that President Trump, if this goes to the court, he's going to win. So why even waste the time going to the court? Listen.
A lot of this that suggests that the president actually might win this case on the merits in the longer term under the normal process. So if you're the White House, why not put that appeal through? Why not use the process that's available to you right then?
Why go through all of that? See, this is the problem. Cut the daggone red tape. See, the Democrats, they love to prolong everything. They love to make everything drawn out, to make it go as long as possible. They love that. And President Trump and the Republicans are saying no. Same thing with Elon Musk. Prime example, Elon Musk. There was something that he was working on. I don't remember exactly what it was. And they were asking him, how long is it going to take? He was asking them how long it was going to take. And I think they told him, X amount of years. And he said, that's unacceptable. And then they got involved and they did something. I think it was like 18 weeks. They love to draw things on. And this judge wanted these hardcore criminals to come back and put them back out on the streets. No. If the President Trump's going to win in the court, she should be like, you know what? It'll be a waste of time. It'll be a waste of taxpayer dollars. No.
Well, there in fact may be an appeal process. I know we got all kinds of cases. I think 15 different cases now where there have been some federal district judge who's done some kind of injunction, ruled against President Trump in just 8 weeks of him being in office. So those are all going to get challenged. You go through the appellate process. That may, in fact, happen in this particular case, too.
Sure.
All I'm saying is this judge looks different than some of the other things we have seen. And the pace that were 15, I think in the Biden administration, it was like 13 in the entire 4 years. There have been 15 of these in 8 weeks. So, again, that's a concern. It's why 2 weeks ago, the Judiciary Committee, we passed legislation which said when a federal district judge in Timbuktu, California issues an injunction, it should only apply to the parties of the case in that respective jurisdiction, not apply nationwide in some of these other cases that we're dealing with. We think that's good. We pass it through the committee. We'll try to look to pass it on the House floor and move it through the process.
Sir, let me ask you about something you said partway through your first answer, which is this question. You are in charge of the House Judiciary Committee. Do you plan to hold hearings that may look at the impeachment of Judge Boasberg or other federal judges?
We're gonna hold hearings on this entire issue. The 15 injunctions that have been done in an 8-week time frame, Judge Boasberg's decision. We plan on holding hearings, hearing from experts, talking about this whole kind of body of law, this whole situation.
You know what? I don't know about you, but is it obvious that the left is not even hiding the fact that they're defending criminals? I mean, they're defending these gang members. How many people do you know? I mean, I'm pretty sure you know somebody that is associated with somebody down the line at some point where they were affected by the fentanyl that these gang members were bringing across the border. Why would they not celebrate and say, yes, finally, we're cleaning up our nation. Finally, we're getting out the riffraff. Finally, we're doing this. Is it just me? Or is it that the Democrat Party is all about helping the criminal and not even the American people? Are these, would you consider the Democrat Party our fellow Americans? I mean, personally, I don't, because just like I've been asking the question, what have they been doing for the past 20, 60 years even? They're talking about the Democrat Party. What have they done that the American people can say, oh my goodness, look what they've done. This is actually wonderful. The Democrat Party did this to help out the American people. Is there anything like that? Has there been anything created like that? I can't think of anything. And maybe because I haven't been paying attention really that much to politics until the first time Obama started running for office. That's when I really started kind of paying attention to politics. Then I saw what he started doing. Everything just started to open up my eyes. I was just like everybody else. I didn't even care about politics. I didn't. So, but even now, ever since then, I still can't tell you anything positive that the Democrat parties have done. Just like right now, I can't tell you a single thing that the Democrats are currently saying that, look, we need to do this and it will benefit the American people. What is that? Like, they don't have a leader. So they don't have a leader coming out speaking up for them, saying, look, we're going to do all of this. We're going to actually work with the Trump administration because President Trump, he's the pilot of this plane right now, and we don't want the plane to go down. Or President Trump is the pilot of this ship, this great, big, beautiful ship. We don't want anything to happen to the ship. We want the ship to be stronger, right? This is what a Democrat should come out and say, but there's not a single Democrat that's coming out and saying that we need to work with the Trump administration because of the positive things that he's doing. This is a great opportunity for us to benefit. But none of them are doing that.
Yeah, I think
they're doubling down. Let me say this really quick. When the world turns, thank you so much for the super chat on YouTube. Thank you so much. And actually, yesterday, someone gave us some Rumble rants right at the end of the show. And that was Rusty 1491. I just want to say thank you. I don't know if Rusty's on here right now, but I just wanted to acknowledge Rusty because it showed up right when we got off yesterday. What were you going to say, Shannon?
I was going to say, yeah. And, unfortunately, it used to be that there could be some partisanship in politics, right? That they could come together and agree on something. Yeah.
They have their arguments. They go back and forth.
But now we're so divided. And these Democrats, they weaponized the government. Now they're weaponizing the judicial system. She even said in the interview, if Trump goes through this process, he's probably going to get what he wants anyways, but they're going to go through the process anyways because their objective is to make it look like Trump is doing something wrong. Not that, getting these evil people out of the country is wrong, but they just want him to look bad, right? So they're playing they're playing with the minds of the American people. That's what I feel like they're doing. I feel like they're trying to just manipulate the people that think Trump is this bad, horrible person. They're not coming out saying, oh, we really shouldn't deport these people. They're great people. We want them here. They're just saying, well, how he did it was illegal, and that's what we're against.
Yeah, and
right? And you can find any judge somewhere that's going to, and they know exactly who to go to.
Yeah.
This was ACLU, by the way, that went to this judge that said.
So who went to the ACLU? Who gave the ACLU the notification that President
deported?
Trump already had him on the, now they had to have been running. You know, they were probably running through some hallways somewhere. Oh my goodness, President Trump just put these criminals on the plane and they're flying them out right now.
Well,
and we need to find a judge right now. So the ACLU probably have a Rolodex, you know, database of liberal judges that they can go to and find one, call them up on the phone because it was on a Saturday. Call this judge up on the phone and, hey, we need you to put this in right now. And he says, okay, it's done. Here's the oral order. Like President Trump needs to listen to these judges around the country because they supersede the executive branch of the federal government, according to them. Yeah, well, this is disgusting.
We know that the swamp is deep, right? We know that there's someone somewhere in every single agency that's an advocate for the Democrat Party. I mean, was it last week or the week before, we had it where Ben Berquam in El Paso was saying how ICE agents were releasing some of the people that Homan literally said to detain.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's this constant battle, you and I would say, between good and evil.
It really is. And let me just say this. I just saw this comment on Facebook, and just to let you know, everybody, I do look at the comments. Okay. I'm periodically looking at the comments. I need to try to figure out a way where I can get all of the comments on the screen some kind of way. I'll think about that. But I just want to say Betty says she's 67 years young, right? She's 67 years young, and she didn't say young. I'm saying young. She's a beautiful 67. And she says that she's never seen or think she can't think of anything that the Democrats have done that's the American people have benefited from it.
And you know, we're right now the JFK files just came out, right?
Yes.
Okay, CIA did it. I mean, come on. Did we not already know this? We already knew
what?
This, right?
You mean the CIA did it? Didn't we already know that like 10 years ago?
Guess who killed? I'm going to go ahead and break it to you. Guess who is behind MLK?
The
Most
CIA.
likely the same people, right? It even actually kind of says it in the docs. I believe I read in one of them. So, and by the way, there was also one where JFK said that he said something about Biden. I forget what it was.
I don't remember. I don't know. Well, let me ask y'all a question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Which one came first? Chicken or the egg? Shannon? Let me ask you that question too. And I'm asking everybody who's watching, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Well, the human came before the embryo, so I would say the chicken.
Okay.
God had to create the chicken before he created the egg.
I mean, yeah. So that's my thinking too, right? I think the chicken came and then they started laying eggs. You know, God created chicken and then they started laying eggs. But you know, Democrats, they don't know where eggs come from. So they really have a hard time understanding it because, you know, they talk about the prices of eggs, not mentioning, you know, all the chickens that were slaughtered under Joe Biden. You know, they slaughtered millions of chickens and it was on purpose, right? It was on purpose. And they gave their lame excuse on why they did it. But nonetheless, they did it. And then all of a sudden the price of eggs went up. And then they don't want to associate the chickens dying with the egg prices going up. They want to say it's because of President Trump. Again, they don't know where eggs come from. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to this judge giving this order. What happened first? Did President Trump deport these people out of the country first? Or did the judge give the order first? Right? It's like a battle. Who gave it first? Well, according to the liberal left, the judge gave the order to President Trump before he put him on the airplane. At least that's the way they're talking. Listen.
I feel like what you're sort of saying without saying is that there was a lawful way, most likely, to deport these individuals. That what he's done by doing it in defiance of a court order is.
He said, so President Trump already did it. President Trump already has them on their way out the country. There's been no liberal judge as of yet. They're flying, they're going, probably drinking on some water, no tequila, drinking on water. They're on their way out of the country to Venezuela, right? Almost to Venezuela. Then the judge gets wind of it and puts an oral order out there. So when is it defiant? Because President Trump already did it. It's not defiant. Well, they're trying to act like, well, because President Trump did it because the judge did it after the fact and they were still in the plane and they said, go ahead and allow them to land. And the Venezuelan president took them in. They could have made a phone call to the Venezuelan president and said, well, there's been an order. You need to put him back on the plane and take him back. Well, and send him back. But the Venezuelan president said, yeah, no, I'm not getting involved. Welcome home, boys.
Well, Trump did pay him $6 million.
Welcome home, boys. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. But they're saying, and the Judge Napolitan was saying.
Let me finish playing this
okay.
before you get that point. Listen to this.
Individuals, that what he's done by doing it in defiance of a court order is almost mixed two principles here. One is his absolute authority on deportations, but the second is both the defiance of a court order and the incredible smear against the judge that called for them to stop.
I guess I'm saying a little less than that. I actually am not going as far to say that there was a lawful way to do this.
He said there's not a lawful way to do this? What? There's not a lawful way to do this? Who's he talking about? Is he talking about President Trump or is he talking about the judge? I'm more likely he's saying that President Trump, there's no lawful way of what President Trump is doing. By getting rid of the criminals out of the country, there's no lawful way on doing that. So you have to leave him here, according to him. Yeah. What were you going to say about Judge Napolitano, Shannon?
Well, I was going to say that he said the problem is not that they were over international waters or over where they were on the plane. The fact is that he has judiciary power over who gave the order to do it. And so they should have turned around the plane on his orders, the judge's orders. And they want to know who defied his order. That's one of the things that has to be revealed in the papers. Who's the one that did it, because that person can be in trouble, according to Judge Napolitano. So I don't know. I mean, it's just a battle that's unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? Just
you know what? I think at this point,
these people in our country, yes or no? If we don't want these people,
the Democrats do though.
They just want Trump to look bad.
They want them in this country because they want them to be able to
say, yes, let's take them in. I'll bring them to my house. None of them are going to say that.
They want them in this country because they want them to create chaos. They want the animosity. That's the reason why they want him here. They don't. And you're right. They want President Trump to look bad. So if these criminals are here and are doing criminal activity, I'm like, oh my goodness, look at this. President Trump's not doing anything to protect the American people. They want to be able to say the same thing about President Trump, what we all saw Joe Biden do by not protecting us, not protecting anybody. That's what they're looking for. That's what they want. They're not getting it. President Trump is not going to allow them to have it. And you know what, Shannon? President Trump could just come out and say, I gave the order. I gave the order. So what then? What then? I can't expect him to. President Trump come out there and say, I gave the order. Because it is his right to do so. 100%. It is his right to do so. Well, I want to change it up a little bit. And because this is all about the Democrat Party again. The Democrat Party, they don't have anything to stand on. They don't know what they want to their movement to really be about. Now, one of the things that the Democrats were pushing was DEI. They believe that DEI needs to be in place. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Which there's no need for it. If you go to apply for a job and you're qualified and you're more qualified than the other people applying for the job at the time, then you should get the job regardless of who you are and your complexion. Right? If you have somebody white and black and they're applying for the job and the white person just happened to be more qualified during the time that they're hiring for this particular job, guess who should get the job? The white person. You don't give it to the black person just because they're black. They may have some experience, and they might be right up there really good. But if you want the best on the job, then you hire the best person. Vice versa. Right? You don't discriminate against white people. And see, that's what's happening here. DEI is discrimination against white people when they want to use it against white people. But to be honest with you, DEI, to my understanding, and I saw this report a while ago, where the reason why DEI was created, or who created, was a whole bunch of white liberals that graduated from college, that graduated with art majors and everything else that they graduated with that had nothing to do with the real world. When they realized they got in the real world and their degrees and their majors weren't going to get them the jobs that they want, then DEI was created so they can get jobs that they're not qualified for. That's where it came from. But then, of course, just like the good racist white liberals they are, they want to incorporate it with black people and people who live in an alternate lifestyle. To try to make it look fair, to try to make it look right, to bring in black people. It's the most disgusting thing ever. And it's reverse racism, if you ask me.
Well, Pete Hegseth is a man who advocated for the firing of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Brown, who Hegseth said was unqualified simply essentially based on the fact that he was African American.
Really? So Pete Hegseth, Shannon, have you ever heard or seen a report or a memo or an op-ed where Pete Hegseth said that he was not qualified because he was black? Have you ever seen one? There's never been one. There's not been a single memo, because if there was a video, an op-ed, or anything, they would have shown it. But they're not showing it. Listen.
And has replaced him with somebody of a lower rank, by the way, who's a white man. And so I think we should take these individuals, the president and his team, at their word. We saw already from Project 2025, as Basil said, that what they promised they are delivering, specifically to the Heritage Foundation. I also think it's an important moment. I wish we would stop saying DEI, because every American hears DEI, and you think about the annoying trainings that you have at work. You know, that's very easy to kind of poke holes at that. Some of them are fine. Some of them are just, a hassle for Americans. What we're actually talking about coming from the White House is an anti-civil rights agenda. It's an anti-black agenda. It's an anti-feminist agenda. It's anti-LGBTQ agenda.
You hearing this?
And it's an attack on the idea that America is a multicultural and multiracial democracy. And I think we should be very specific with our language. DEI kind of can be anything. And so I think we should call them out for this. I mean, this is not happening in a vacuum at the Pentagon.
You know what? The fact that they are still pushing this nonsense after this election just tells everyone, or it tells me, that they have not learned anything. They have not learned a single thing. And she's just on there yapping away, trying to say that President Trump's administration is racist. Pete Hegseth, because he fired these woke generals, that he's being racist. Has nothing to do with the fact that they were woke and they were going against military orders. It has everything to do with their complexion. It has nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing. But I kind of, you know what? More people are waking up to this nonsense, and more people are paying attention, and they're saying the same thing over and over and over again. And they're basically upset because President Trump he's doing away with DEI, at least at the federal level. DEI should be against the law in this country. It really should be. Because the Democrats, they see nothing wrong with pushing racial division. You know, I've mentioned this multiple times before. If we could get rid of the Democrat Party, we would eliminate 90% of the racial division we have in this country. 90% of it. It's the same thing with like gun violence. 90% of it. I don't know why these people want to stay in America anyways. I mean, who is it? Rosie O'Donnell, she left. What's the other one's name? Ellen DeGeneres, she left. And to my understanding, other liberals are leaving too. Is there anything else that we could do to encourage every single liberal in the United States of America to exit the country? I mean, is there anything we could do? I mean, can we give Americans more freedoms? Would that make you leave? Can we make it to where the First Amendment, your freedom of speech, you'll be able to exercise it no matter where you are in the country? Would that be a reason for you to leave? Would a reason for you to leave to say that we're no longer going to take the life of the most innocent of us all, no matter where we are in that law, the land? I think that would probably be the one thing. Can we work on that? Saving every single life. Everybody has an opportunity to live. I think that would be something that the Democrats say, okay, I'm done. I'm leaving this country. How dare you allow people to live, right? There has to be something. I think that would probably be their number one. But I'm all for the Democrats leaving. I really am. There's no need to keep them here. They're not serving any purpose. The only purpose of the Democrat Party, as I mentioned, to cause chaos, animosity, destruction, everything, all of the above. Because they're not for the American people. They're completely against the American people. Now, here's some more of this nonsense. I want y'all to listen to this, and then I'll talk about it.
It is interesting. You hear always return power back to the states. States have the power. Local governments have the power largely over education and control some 90% of the funding. And the polling on this is actually a majority of Americans oppose gutting the Department of Education. But as you said, it's still very popular with the Republican base.
Let me stop it really quick. If the states, as he just said, has majority of the power when it comes to the education, they have majority of the say so. They have the say so, right? If all the states, then what is the problem with President Trump doing away with the educational or the Department of Education at the federal level? Does that make sense to you, Shannon? If he's getting rid of the Department of Education at the federal level, and this Yahoo just said that the states already have the authority, the power, then what's the problem? Does that make sense? I don't think he realized what he just said. Let me take it back for you, for everyone that missed it. Listen to what he says. Because he's saying that the states already have it. Then we're all in agreement. The Department of Education at the federal level needs to go away. Agree? I think we all agree.
It is interesting. You hear always return power back to the states. States have the power. Local governments have the power largely over education and control some 90% of the funding. And the polling on this is actually a majority of Americans oppose gutting the Department of Education. But as you said,
no, we don't.
It's still very popular with the Republican base.
Yeah, it's extremely popular with the Republican base. If you ever attended a Trump rally, he would go on stage and say this, and the crowd would really go wild. This is something that the MAGA base and some of the far right Republicans have really zeroed in on because of this idea that there is, DEI promoting or racial inequality promoting within the school system, putting one group of people over another, really trying to target that. But already, John, I would say that the administration has already moved to change the culture at schools so much. We know just yesterday that they stripped Pennsylvania University $175 million for them continuing to have a transgender swimmer compete at that school. We know that today Columbia University has to respond to the White House, who has demanded they overhaul their own culture, or else lose $400 million in federal spending.
Hold on really quick. She made a statement just a second ago saying that the Republicans are basically elevating one group of people over another. She just mentioned a man competing against women. And the Democrats are elevating these men pretending to be women over actual women. Is she a woman? Is that a woman? Right? Y'all see my point here? And she had the nerve, the audacity to say that the Republicans are elevating people over another people. What about women's rights? What about the opportunity for women to get scholarships? What about the opportunity for women to compete against other women, not have to compete against another man? Look, they're the ones saying it. I don't think they understand. I think that the Democrats are so far gone in their minds, in their spirit, that they're willing and openly supporting everything that is demonic under the sun. She's literally saying it.
And of course, we've seen over the couple of days that they have really been increasing their targeting of pro-Palestinian protesters who are here on student visas. And so,
really, they're not targeting them. You notice she didn't say anything about them shutting down the schools, preventing Jewish students from going to class. She said nothing about that. They were actually targeting Jewish students. And they're not targeting these people. These people that are here on visa green card and they're talking about terrorist acts against a group of people, you need to go. The quick answer is bye-bye. But see, just like the hardcore criminals that President Trump deporting out of the country, they are supporting people that's calling for violence.
So already the culture at these schools, both at higher education and lower education, are continuing to change. But I think this will be the most full-scale scale that they've done. Of course, it's going to be, susceptible to legal challenges. But I think what we've seen over the last few days with USAID and all these kind of other agencies that the administration has moved to shutter, even if a district judge says, listen, you got to bring all these people back, it's been shown that it's difficult to claw these things back and to get people back hired when they could be hired in a really unstable environment because you don't know which court is going to say what.
So now they're going to go back to an unstable environment. Really? They're going to have to go back to I guess them going back to an unstable environment because they would have to actually go into work. See, a lot of these people got fired because they were not doing their jobs, and rightfully so. If you're not doing your jobs, you should be fired.
And let me give you some facts, if I can, about the Department of Education. The Department of Education spent $268 billion in the fiscal year 2024. That's $268 billion. Only 20% of that, $20 billion, went to actual education and departments. It's 4% of our overall federal spending. That's a huge cut. And most of the money, the $248 billion now, go to other entities under other influences, contractors, people that, do certain investigations on whether trans children should be fed differently in cafeterias than other children. That's what some of this goes to. It goes to, if you want to say, NGOs, non-government agencies. They get money, organizations. They get money. It's another way to funnel money, I will say. Hegsman actually uncovered this to American people. So most of the money isn't really going to what you think it's going to anyways. It's not actually going to the education of our children. It needs to go away.
Yeah, it needs to go away. Hey, let me say thank you to Stacks on Peel.net. Thank you so much for the appeals. I greatly appreciate it. They are a blessing. Thank you so much. Shannon, what is a good Republican? Do you know what a good Republican is? What is a good Republican?
They follow the Constitution.
They follow the Constitution. Right? They follow the Constitution. What's a good Democrat? Is there such thing as a good Democrat?
One that doesn't exist.
They don't exist. I would agree they don't exist.
That's a joke, but
yeah, they don't.
You would think the same thing, that they follow the Constitution.
You
and they work on the behalf of their constituents because their constituents aren't aware of everything that's going on. So they are their voice in the government.
Yeah, 100%. Well, listen to Senator Lisa McCorsky. She's out of Alaska and she doesn't like Trump. She's made it clear that she doesn't like Trump. And if I'm not mistaken, she actually voted to impeach President Trump when he was in office the first time. Her and the nut job out of Maine. But I want y'all to listen to what she's saying on here. And she's trying to basically justify her being a rhino And the only reason why she's a rhino, you know what rhino is, right? Republican in name only. She's actually a Democrat portraying to be a Republican. I mean, I wish you'd just go ahead and own it. And the people in Alaska, what are y'all doing? I mean, really, what are you doing? She's actually telling y'all right now that y'all are you're too stupid to realize that she's ruining your state. Listen to her.
When people say, why aren't you a better Republican? And if you're not, get out of the party.
Get out.
You know what? Until Alaskans tell me, Lisa, it's just not working anymore, I am going to give you every last breath that I have, and I'm going to try to solve every little problem. And I'm not going to compromise my own integrity.
Whatever. You don't have any integrity.
By hiding from my words when I feel they need to be spoken. I'm going to take the criticism that comes, and it may be that Elon Musk has decided he's going to take the next $1 billion that he makes off of Starlink and put it directly against Lisa Murkowski. And you know what? That may happen. But I'm not giving up 1 minute, one opportunity.
And you know why she's saying that, right? It's because she's going against what the American people want. She's going against the mandate. And you notice the Democrats, what do they ever say about her? Nothing. She is another Liz Cheney. She's another Adam Kissinger, another Mitt Romney. You know, she haven't heard anything from Mitt Romney here lately, right? He's done. He's out. Haven't heard anything from Mitt Romney. She's another Dan Crenshaw. She's another Mitch McConnell, another Lindsey Graham. She's just like them. Democrats don't ever say anything about them. Every now and then they'll say something just because she had an R by her name. But other than that, they don't say anything. They love what she's doing because she's going against the American people. As long as you go against the American people, Democrats will love you all day long. But you know who sided with the American people here recently? Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer sided with the American people, and Nancy Pelosi came out of her hole to say something about Chuck Schumer. What do you think she possibly could say about Chuck Schumer? You know, Chuck Schumer, we've been working together for many, many years. I trust his judgment on what he's doing. You know, it is time for us to go ahead and start working across party, across the aisle, working with President Trump's agenda to make sure that the American people have everything, all of the resources that they need so they can be successful. Right? That's what Nancy Pelosi, that's what she should say here, right? Good for you, Chuck. Yeah, no. Nancy Pelosi is not happy at all with Shucky Ducky Schumer. She's not happy with him at all. She's basically saying that Chuck has lost his edge. He doesn't know how to do his job any longer. And if Nancy Pelosi teams up with AOC to primary Chuck Schumer, he's done. All AOC has to do is get Nancy Pelosi on the same side with her, and Chuck Schumer's done. Nancy Pelosi, she's in the House, used to be Speaker of the House. But she's still basically controlling the House Democrats, right? They put Hakeem Jeffries out there for DEI purposes. But she's still pretty much running the Democrats when it comes to the House. Now, I want y'all to listen to what she says here about Chuck Schumer. Because apparently, Chuck Schumer, he didn't know what he was doing. He should have got something. He should have got some kind of woke agenda involved in the CR to be able to push it through. Something to push back on President Trump. Because of the NGOs that they're associated with, their money's getting cut off. You should have put that in the CR. Something should have been there for the Democrat woke agenda. Something, but nothing's there, apparently, according to Nancy Pelosi. Listen.
It's about what comes next. I myself don't give away anything for nothing. And I think that's what happened the other day. We could have, in my view, perhaps gotten them to agree to a third way, which was a bipartisan CR for 4 weeks, in which we could have had bipartisan legislation to go forward.
So basically, she was saying, shut the government down. Should have shut down until we got what we wanted. What's up with her nose, Shannon? I just noticed that. Can you see that?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems like all these old people have something wrong with them.
I mean, did you see the one? Did you see the one with Mitch McConnell?
Yeah. Yeah, he couldn't hear.
They're talking about tariffs. Huh?
Yeah.
They're talking about tariffs.
And it was loud because you could clearly hear what the person
goodness,
was asking. Yes. They had to get up really close to his ear and
he was just a turtle looking in the headlights. Yeah. What? Tariffs. They're talking about tariffs. He go, oh, tariffs. I'm not really for tariffs. Wow. I think Congress has become basically a retirement, for a retirement home for people who's been embezzling money, taking our tax dollars. And I'm still looking forward to President Trump getting rid of the IRS. Really, I am. The IRS really needs to go away. I'm looking forward to the day for it to go away. Are you? I really am. I'm so done with the way the Democrats and the Rhino Republicans have manipulated and taken advantage of the American people for so long. I saw one guy was doing a video saying that we are the biggest country that's taxing the people the most in the world. But yet we have a $36 trillion deficit. But we're the tax the most. You get your paycheck, you look at it, there's taxes already taken out of it. Then you go down to the local store, you buy eggs and milk and bread, there's a tax on that. If you go out and you buy a vehicle, after you made your money and they tax you on your money, you go buy a vehicle, you have to pay taxes on that vehicle. And then the next year again, you still have to pay taxes on that vehicle again. Same thing. You go buy property with the money that you've earned that's already been taxed. You got to pay for property tax. And then the year after that, and after that, and after that, and after that, you got to pay property tax still. And if, let's say you pay it off. This is one thing I like about what Ron DeSantis is doing in Florida. Almost like, man, maybe I should move to Florida. Because once you buy the property and you pay it off, you don't pay property taxes on it any longer. Because see, most cases, if you don't pay property taxes after you paid it off, they'll come and take it from you. So basically, essentially, you're renting it from the government. President Trump, let's go. Let's get rid of the IRS. And see, I think President Trump, his goal here is to get the tariffs rolling before he actually does it. I think that's the whole goal. I really do. All right, let me play something else for you. And this one is, I can't see that. You help me out. Yeah. This is about the judge. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. This is about the judge, the New York judge. And here on the Communist News Network, they're saying that President Trump is treating this judge like he's an opponent. I think the entire Democrat Party is an opponent. If you ask me, this is still election interference. See, you and I, the American people, we voted for President Trump. The true Americans did. The ones that want our children to be safe, protected, XYZ. We voted for President Trump, and there was a mandate. Majority of the people in this country, majority of the voters, voted for President Trump. Majority voted for President Trump. You understand? So what's happening, these judges, they're taking it upon themselves to try to stop President Trump from actually implementing the mandate that's been handed to him. Election interference. 100%.
Well, I was just saying, he's fundamentally treating the judge as his political opponent, right? I mean, he's taking a page out of his campaign playbook. He always wants a foil. He feels like he's strongest when he has a foil. And so he's taking a judge who's handed him a ruling that he disagrees with and treating him as a political opponent. And that's, I would say, unprecedented in terms of presidential behavior, but also contributes to this heightened environment where these judges can see threats to their safety.
I think same.
Oh, really? So now it's becoming threats to their safety, Shannon. What? Why is there safety all of a sudden on the, in
because
question
every
here.
single Democrat in this world is a victim of something or someone or some agenda or
But
something.
who are the violent ones?
Well,
I mean, hello.
Of course, the Democrats are the violent ones, but it is funny, huh? Because, and that's why they're so, I guess, volatile, because they all feel like victims. Literally, the media makes every Democrat feel like they're a victim of something. Even the judges. Oh, I'm a victim. No one cared. They didn't sit there and go, Trump is a victim of weaponization. No, they didn't recognize that. They only recognize when a Democrat is being questioned or they lose their job or whatever. All of a sudden it has to do with race, sex, ideology. It doesn't have anything else to do with anything else. They live in a victim vortex.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. A victim vortex. Or even an echo chamber, right?
I mean, both. Yeah.
I'm a victim. 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 It bounces from over there, goes way over there, then comes back. And when it bounces off the wall and comes back and say, oh, I'm a victim. I'm a victim.
That's why they all say the same thing on TV. They all put out the same X post.
Same memo.
I mean,
same thing everywhere. Same thing everywhere. All right, everybody. We are at the end. Tomorrow's Friday. I'll open up the phone lines. So if you want to give me a call and we can talk about everything during the week. So tomorrow, don't forget, same time, 11 Central, Monday through Friday, but 11 Central tomorrow. You can give me a call. Go to my website, uniteamericafirst.com. And if you would, please, you find it in your heart, I would encourage you, if God puts it on your heart, to bless me on my website. You can see right there at the top, you can donate. Sign up for the free newsletter as well. Please sign up for the free newsletter. And if you go to uniteamericafirst.com/donate, you can support me monthly or just one time. If you want to bless me one time, just like the Rumble rants or the super chats right there one time. There's different ways you can do it right there, which you can see the different options you have, or my physical address, which is at the bottom right there. That's my physical address. People send me letters. They send me blessings all the time through my physical email, my physical address right there. And so I greatly appreciate all of you for doing so. And just to let you know, I keep every single letter that I've received. Every single one. I even keep the envelope.
You get a lot of gifts too. So
yeah, people send me stuff all the time, and I'm very appreciative to it. So thank you so much, everyone. And we are live right now everywhere: Rumble, YouTube, Peel.net, Facebook, and X America News. We are live everywhere right now. So please, if you would, support me. Help me keep it going. Oh, let me tell you this. Let me bring this up to you, because my show that I'm getting ready to do on LFA TV, and of course, there's some stuff I can't show here because, I'm on Facebook and YouTube, and you know how they are about certain topics. But I'm getting ready to talk about a topic on my Culture Wars show that is amazing. I kind of touched on it yesterday, but I got more information about it. And if you go, do we have it? We can put up on the screen here again. Yeah, if you go to it, can you scroll down to Culture Wars, Shannon? Right there, you can see the green button down there because it's on Rumble. You go to this one an hour from now. You go to that an hour from now, and you click on it. You see Culture Wars. Look at the thumbnail. And I want y'all to let me know in the comments when y'all come. It's just 1 hour, so you all got a break. Go take a break, get your glass of water, come back. But I want y'all to look at the thumbnail that I have there for my show on Culture Wars today on LFA TV. Oh my goodness. It is something. It is something. My producer was asking me, she's like, wow. She said, that's one of the best ones yet that shows the demon grab part. Did you tell me that, Shannon? Slightly told me that. Okay, go check it out, everybody. I will see you in 1 hour. God bless you. Stay safe out there. They're not done. God bless everyone. Take care.